we're going to get started here, but what we like to do, what Native people in general and Lakota people like myself like to do, is we like to start all our functions right. And we're kind of different. We don't go into the building to talk about God. We go out into nature to talk with God. So we're going to start with a prayer, and we're going to do a little blessing song, and then we're going to have a good friend of mine come up and do a little bit of a teach-in, tell a little bit about what's going on with Dakota Access Pipeline and the Sacred Stone Camp and all that information down in Cannonball. He's really knowledgeable on it. So if you don't know what's going on, really listen to him. You have to remember, every living thing needs water. The problem in America, I believe, is we have treated water like a commodity. If you forget everything else that's told to you today, remember this. Mine wichone. Mine wichone. Water is life. And that's for everybody. The Standing Rock Sioux is standing up to this huge oil industry and this oil transfer, energy transfer company, not just for them, but for 17 million people downstream of the Missouri River. Oh, Tunka Shela Pila Maya Yellow, Oche Maya Yellow, Pila Maya Heya Ho, Oche Waneja Pila Maya Heyo, Pila Maya Helo, Pila Maya Heya Heya Ho. Oh, hit you too.
My friends wanted me to talk about several things down here today. They wanted me to talk about treaty rights. They wanted me to talk about sovereignty. They wanted to talk to me about water. They wanted me to talk about local issues and how that's tied. And I think that's a good idea. And I think the first thing we need to remember is that it's all the same water. This water doesn't stay in one place. It moves. We can't separate air from water. That's the pump that gets it back up after the gravity's done with it, to start it over again. We in Colorado or Montana or South Dakota can't harvest our teepee poles because the forests are dying because of the water transferred in the air is weakening those trees, killing those trees. Governor of North Dakota has called out their military against our people. There's over 90 Native nations and people from all over the world in those camps in South Dakota. For those of you who don't know, they're trying to put a pipeline through our reservations and across hundreds of water sources that are public water sources. We already know that these things pollute daily. We know that these things are cumulative. The pollution that we have here or in Florida or in South Dakota or in Canada or in China affects everybody everywhere. It affects all the water. So these things aren't their problem or their problem, it's our problem. Our problem is our human rights are being abused. And that's whether you're red or you're black or you're white or you're yellow, it doesn't matter. You're a human being. You're mostly water. You are what's flowing in there with a little bit thrown around it to kind of keep you together. I'm not talking mentally, that's another issue. But I want you to leave here today not with an education in the legalities of treaty law or sovereignty or geography or geology. What I want you to leave here today with is the knowledge that you are just as responsible for this as anybody else. If you know this and you don't do anything, you are complicit in murder, genocide, and your own demise. So we need to think that. You need to leave here with that. You need to take that to everybody you know and have that concept passed on. The treaty rights, well, we have these treaties. They've been limited in their success because basically you have to have the citizenry behind the responsibility to honor those treaties. So it's everybody here that needs to induce our Congress and our Senate to enforce those treaties and to live by those treaties. It hasn't been done for some time. We need to remedy that situation. We need to make that right. Those are human rights. Those have to do with education, with medical care, and with water. The basic human right to water. We've got to start talking about building codes that say, if you have this toxin coming into your place, where's it going? Is it going into whatever product you're manufacturing? Is it now inert? Where's the leftovers? Is it going into the air? Is it going into the water? If you have a flood, can you contain it? If you have an accident, can you contain it? Where's this stuff going? Where's it ending up? It's easy to do. We do it with a lot of other things. So we need to take a different mindset about how we're looking at this. We need to take a long-term look at this. We need to start putting genetics, epigenetics into the equation of what they're determining, what they're coming up with when they make the plans to clean these things up. We've got to quit letting, and you're going to love this, the polluters get to make the cleanup plans. What could possibly go wrong? Okay. These are simple things that we can do if, as a populace, as citizenry, we get together and do these. Certainly, one of the main things we can do is help the tribes have their treaty rights respected and enforced. Whether that's in South Dakota, whether that's in Oregon, whether that's in Washington, these treaty rights are the only thing that has made any difference in saving any water, in any ecological gains that we've had, any battles that we've had, battling corporations, battling governments. The only wins we've had is from treaty rights, from sovereignty. So it behooves you to support those tribes. And it behooves you to start thinking in a larger sense. Portland itself is the 8th largest Native community in the country. So there's natives from all over, all sorts of different reservations. I'm from South Dakota and Colorado. But we don't think that our rights end at some arbitrary border that you make up every couple months, weeks, years, or whatever. We think our rights extend to wherever we are as human beings, particularly our right to water, our right to food, our right to shelter. So these things that are all things that affect you. So again, we need to stand with the people in Standing Rock. We need to stand with the people in Umatilla, in Siletz, in Coos, the Coos people, the Kalapuya, that river that you cross over here. That's actually human beings. They were called that. We just got permission to prosecute murderers and rapists on our reservations that are non-Indian. Just this last year. It was just in the 60s and 70s that we got permission to practice our religion. And actually were able to vote. So we need your help, but you need your help. You need to stand up and stand for water. Everywhere. Stand for water everywhere. All right? Yeah. Stand for water everywhere!